So related to Bangkok Airways, I'm going to talk about the power distance. So the definition of the spectrum of the idea is that power distance is referred to the extent to which less powerful members of the organization and situation accept and aspects that power is distributed in equality. It is also a dimension that highlights how society handles inequalities amongst people and highlight power distances in culture, hierarchical structures, and how are respected, and subordinates are unlikely to question authority. So the cultural comparison between Thailand and Colombian contexts are that Thailand scores high on the power distances index with the score of 64. This indicates that the society accepts and expects power inequalities. In a business context, this means that hierarchical structures are prevalent and employees are unlikely to question decisions from the decisions made by the superiors. Also, authority is respected and subordinators often wait for instructions rather to taking individual decisions or intuitive decisions. For the other side, on the other hand, Colombia is also on a score high on power decisions with a score of 67, so it's a little bit higher than Thailand is, which is even slightly higher than Thailand. And this suggests us that Colombia, like Thailand is, have a strong respect for the hierarchy structures. Also in Colombia, authority figures are expected to make decisions, and there is a clear democratization between levels of hierarchy. But however, the relations between superiors and subordinates is also influenced by the strong collective culture. So when people's relationship makes part of how the hierarchy is working, often plays a significant role in how the decisions are made. For the business context examples, I think Thailandia, for example, Thailandese companies, it's common for decisions to be made at the top and they pass it down through the hierarchy. For instance, in Bangkok Airways, a decision to launch a new route may be made by senior managers with a little input from lower levels employees. More of the recommendation that I could be made to the company and to structure in Colombia is that when expanding to Colombia from Bangkok Airways should maintain a clear hierarchy structure, but it's also essential to recognize that Colombia value relationship is really important for the culture, and it depends a really role to make the decisions between the people, and also in the hierarchy structures that are made in the companies in Colombia. However, Colombia, the collective's culture means that while authority is respected, superiors are often expected to take care of their subordinates' well-being. For the other side, in Colombia, the recommendation for them is more that it is crucial to understand that in Colombia, maintaining authority is really important. Okay, so for finally, recommendation summary, really important for the Bangkok Airways is that maintains a clear hierarchy structure, that is main important, and it should maintain a hierarchical structure of the ally between Thailandian and Colombian people. The other one is the foster inclusive while the hierarchy. So while maintaining a hierarchy, it's important. It's allowed to the levels to employees have a voice in decisions making, and also where appropriate from their job also to the company. The third one is to build a strong relationship with subordinates. It's more a cultural thing of Colombian context, so you have to understand that the authorities of the company figure out how to have a really good relation and personal approach as a leadership to the co-workers in the company, and on the workforce. And finally, the one that is really important is to respect local norms. So Bangkok Airways should respect local norms in all the regarding hierarchical and authority, but should also adapt their practice to meet the specific needs of the Colombian workforce.
Now, continuing on previous insights, I would like to talk about how feedback is given and received in Colombia, especially compared to Thailand. So, good day, I am Gabriel Ratan, a professional international relations consultant. As Bangkok Airways considers expanding to Bogota, understanding these cultural differences will be very important for effective management. So, as we discussed earlier, both Thailand and Colombia generally avoid direct negative feedback. However, it's important to understand that Colombia tend to be more direct than the Thailand people when it comes to giving feedback. This difference can have a significant impact on how communication is handled within your team. In Thailand, people usually give feedback in a very gentle way to maintain harmony and respect for hierarchy. For example, if a report needs improvement, a Thai manager might say, "The report is quite good and perhaps we could make small changes." This approach helps to keep the conversation positive and avoid making the employees feel uncomfortable. On the other hand, Colombia, while the feedback is very respectful, is generally more straightforward. Using the same example, as a Colombian manager might say, "This report is strong, but it needs more detail in certain areas." This feedback is clear to the point, making sure the employee knows what exactly needs to be improved. So, given these differences in communication styles, as a consultant, I recommend adjusting your approach slightly when providing feedback to your Colombian team in Colombia. It would be helpful to be more direct while still being positive and respectful to ensure your feedback is clearly understood. For instance, if you notice that customer service responses need improvement, you might say, "Our passengers really appreciate the friendliness of our staff, but we need to work on speeding up response time to improve their experience." This way, you acknowledge that this is going well while clearly stating that it needs to be better. It's also important to be ready for more direct feedback from your Colombian colleagues. They may speak more openly about challenges and areas that need attention, which might be difficult for the more reserved approach in Thailand. Encouraging this type of open communication can help solve problems more effectively. You might ask, "Could you explain more about the challenges we're facing?" to get a better understanding. So, in conclusion, understanding that Colombians are generally more direct in their feedback than the Thais will be very key for an effective communication and leadership when establishing in Bogota in Colombia. By adjusting your feedback style to be clearer and more straightforward, you can bridge a cultural difference and create a positive and productive work environment in your team in Colombia as well. This approach will help you ensure that Bangkok Airways will succeed always in Colombia and its new ventures.